Shalom, all praises to Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahushua, Ba'Shem HaRakakadash, the one the apostles and elders, great millstone that rule well, and Shalom to all the brothers doing the work of sincerity and truth. Yeah. So France, you've had like over the last week or so plus, these guys basically running rampant, writing non-stop, and it's similar to what happened in 2011 in the UK, where you had this guy called this Jake Mark Duggan over here. Those a Ute who got who basically got, well, I think he'll go into it. I forgot, got done in, and then what do you call it? He got done in, and then you more or less had riots start in the round like where it happened, but then it kind of spread to the whole country, because France is somewhere. There's been racial tension in France, since the fucking beginning of time. So to speak. It's somewhere where there's been a tension from the regions they used to manage, like Algeria, what do you call that? Algeria, like North Africa, where these men used to run. And then as well, Jake, like West Coast Jake as well, a few of them in there. There's just basically been, multiple nations in there, and the French, historically the French didn't treat them too kindly. So they got reasons to feel a certain way. Because anyway, as well, the, what do you call it? Didn't treat them too kindly. Because anyway, the French, what do you call that? They've still, well, it's the same with being in any Western country. Like, they ain't got too much love, for Jake over there. They ain't got too much love for these other nations. And that's been stirring up more and more. Like, I think after the Brexit vote, after, like Donald Trump went in France, you had Marine Le Pen, her party, getting pushed to be like basically like second behind Macron's party in the polls, and they're basically going on those classic, the old school like National Front kind of feel, where they're saying, France for the French, something to that effect. So the fact that they're still prominent shows that there's a lot of people that are in agreement with that, and them racial lines are basically coming back, and it's something that's been happening in quite a few countries, in the US especially, over here in the UK as well, since the Brexit vote. It's kind of been like they said, like after that went through, those big spike in like hate crimes, as they call them. So these things have been building up. We got this on the Times. It says, what riots reveal deep disillusion in France. It says, what violence has spread to every region plays into the hands of Le Pen right. It says the burnt cars had been removed earlier that day, and E. Leclerc supermarket had reopened, but in Dreux, west of Paris, the bewilderment and anger left by last week's riots remain palpable. Where did we go wrong? Said Alexandra, 40, who was born in France to a black father and white mother, and who was married to a Moroccan. How did these young people end up hating their own country? And it's funny because with those older generations, they what you call with those older generations, they more just wanted, to blend in, man, to get accepted. But now with the newer generation, that is switched up to where they're not just trying to be French, or trying to be British, or trying to be American. They're what do you call it? They're more trying to they've come with that kind of BLM mindset where they're trying to like overrun, or kind of what would it be, overrun. They're trying to to take political power, something to that extent. Utilizing the whole racial tension kind of thing. They're trying to get a place within it where they can be, because they're a Jake or something, that they want special treatment. They want they want love. They want acceptance. And that that's the gap between like what the older generation's going for, the new one's going for. Which is funny because it's like the newer generation's more aware of what Thingy's doing, of what he saw, of his nature, but they they even more want a place within here, man. They even more love this place. This is what unrest that began after a traffic police officer shot dead Nahom Zook, 17, a boy from the Paris suburbs, spread across the country to reach usually tranquil regions such as Normandy, the Alps, and the southwest. In the week, 12,000 cars were set on fire, 2,500 buildings attacked, including 400. Too much details. This is what 3,500 people were arrested. The youngest aged 11. The oldest 59. The average age was 17. In the post-war France, there have been 3 significant race riots. The first during Algeria's war to gain independence from France, and the others involving immigrants from other former French colonies. And yeah, France, like like the US, like the UK, I was going to say, they got that history of a bunch of nations that they colonize, but then what do you call it? Places that they colonize, but then it's like with the Windrush, where these guys were thinking, because they're part of the empire, they there would have been some place for them in because of the empire, there would have been some place for them within that nation. They didn't realize like that was not it in the slightest. These men were there was no place for them, bro. They don't like you. The latest episode seems to have left the country more divided than ever, with a growing number of voters ready to vote to support Marine Le Pen in an attempt to restore order. Since taking over, people weren't pleased with Macron for a minute, and it's funny because there's been turmoil in France. For a minute, France has been like from when was it, man? From forever ago, these men have been rioting non-stop. From before the lockdowns, man. Like 2019 to 2020, these men were non-stop rioting every weekend. So it might return, to something like that. The yellow vest, the gilet jaune, whatever it was. These men were going ham. So these things it's like ready to kind of go up, like like a fucking matchbox, man. So since taking over as leader of the party in 2011 from her father Jean-Marie Le Pen, who was convicted of inciting racial hatred, she has sought to take the national rally towards a political centre to appeal to more mainstream voters, which has succeeded at, because people have been down. It says what? She blames what she calls uncontrolled migration for the violence and wants to crack down on offenders by using custodial sentences. Dreux is known for its royal domain and is home to the tomb of Louis Philippe, the last king of France, who reigned from 1830 to 1848. This week, lorries were set ablaze on the Ring Road, cars burnt near the medieval fortress, and in Le Batez, something like that, whatever, a council estate built at the beginning of the 1970s. There was chaos. Dozens of youths smashed down the metal front of the supermarket before looting it. But yeah, those council estates are usually hotspots for these things, because that's where Jake's been crammed up in, man. Jake and the other nations, they'll keep them off to the side, but hey, they'll burn the shit down. It says what? Before looting it, taking everything from consoles to suites, they also dumped a pile of clothes in the middle of an aisle, doused them with petrol, and set them alight. So yeah, they're running rabbit. You can see smashing up and burning everything. And was it real? Why are these things happening? What does it signify? This what was the guy Alexander at the beginning saying? Where did we go wrong? Well, the place you went wrong is thinking that place was your rest, man. That place ain't no rest. I read this, 2nd Esdras 15 and 14. It says, what? Woe to the world and them that dwell therein. Destruction to the world, man, and the inhabitants of it, man. Up in this place, destruction's on the way. For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one person shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another, and they shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their action shall stand in their power. Yeah. That sedition among men, man. There's going to be that contention, there's going to be that war, there's going to be people, fucking each other up. It says what? A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able, for because of their pride the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and the men shall be afraid. Yeah? People are gonna going rampant to where that so-called community, that's all gonna cease to exist. And these are things that really have been degraded away from for a while. From when you had the the melting pot formed, then and it's not even like priorly where people would just be like, oh, I'm just a Roman citizen. There was kind of that generation, but then with now it's like in London, for example, you go into the hood, you're gonna find the Polski sklep, you're gonna find the Polish shop where the Poles where they'll only go there, they'll only speak Polish and fuck with the Poles. They can come into the country. There'll be some building companies set up by Poles where they can come in. They ain't speak a lick of English, but they'll work with them, man. They'll graft, they'll get jobs. And then they'll go to the Polish shop and have all the products from back home. Then they'll live in a block where it'll just be Poles and whatnot. And you can basically do that. You can do there'll be East Africans doing the same thing. There'll be guys on the West Coast doing the same thing. There'll be Chinese coming in or Vietnamese coming in doing the same thing. Whether it be the Vietnamese ends or the Mali ends or wherever. And then it's only really the youths that are gonna kind of be interacting. But then even then, some of them might not blend in. You have those where it's like there'll be Chinese that's sent over here to study, where they'll study, but then it's they're just gonna work. They might even work in Chinese companies. They might even go back home afterwards, and then set up over there. Same with all them Polish are doing that as well. So it's like it says in 2nd Esdras, in second Daniel chapter 2, where it says the feet and toes, they'll the iron and miry clay, they'll mingle together, but they'll not be as one. They ain't become one. Even amongst Esau is still differences. You got the French and and the Germans, they ain't just gonna fuck with each other like a be as one, or the Italianos and the fucking Croatians, you know, they're gonna be looking at each other like, yeah, these are my people. It says what, for because of their pride the cities shall be troubled. No, it says a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able, for because of their pride the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy the houses with the sword, and spoil their goods, because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. Yeah, lack of bread, great tribulation. Once things get pushed, it's peak. It'll pop off. Oh. Hello? Because as soon as the pressure starts being applied, just as, you know, this incident basically flared up racial tensions, they'll easily flare up when, you know, food becomes a matter, when other issues come to the forefront. So, read this Habakkuk 2 and 4. It says, behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith. Yea, also, because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, and neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. Yeah, this is Esau's track record. He's, you know, he went round, he established the same thing that, you know, Antiochus set up, where it's like everyone should become one. He's bringing them all together. He's basically utilizing all the resources from these places, and basically having the people come over and, you know, and lend strength to his you know, to his what he's building up, man, to his system. But then what shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his, how long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay, yeah, how long? These nations are basically thinking destruction onto you for what you've done. How long till they get that revenge, man? How long until they can basically just be like, yo, nah, this is too much. You need some recompense, man. You need some payback. Because there shall they not rise up suddenly that shall bite thee, and awake that shall vex thee, and thou shalt be for booties unto them. Yeah, you're gonna be grabbed up, man. You're gonna be that monetary reward onto them, man. They're gonna be plundered. That's the word. You're gonna be plundered by these nations. Why? Because, hey, that's their righteous recompense, man. It says what? Because thou hast spoiled many nations, all the remnant of the people shall spoil thee, because of men's blood, and for the violence of the land, of the city, and of all that dwell therein. Woe to them that coveteth an evil covetousness to his house, that he may set his nest on high, that he may be delivered from the power of evil. Now we'll talk, because it's about all these different nations. They're looking at things like what, you know, where are you gonna get ours, man? And they've been waiting. It's, you know, been centuries where they've kind of had to eat this, and now is what, it's reached that point where they're basically built up to where they can contend, man. They can be on the same level as Esau, man. They got the same military capabilities, to where they're like, yo, no, fuck this. So Isaiah 14 and 14 and 4, it says that thou no, and it shall come to pass. Okay, let's start from verse 3. It says, it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord Jehovah shall give thee rest from thy sorrow, and from thy fear, and from the hard bondage wherein thou wast made to serve. That thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon, and say, how if the oppressor ceased, the golden city ceased. The Lord Jehovah hath broken the staff of the wicked, and the scepter of the rulers. He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke. He that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted, and none hindereth. Yeah, so all the nations basically are going to be at rest. Because why? The main core part, the key component in all this oppression is what? It's Esau Edom, man. It's so-called white man. He's the one who's basically perpetuating and inflicting this upon everyone else. That's why all these different nations are what? They're looking like, damn, like we must needs, get that revenge. We must needs have the oppressor of the golden city ceased. The Lord Yahweh hath broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers, and he who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke. He that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted, and none hindereth. The whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth into singing, yea, the fir trees rejoice at thee, and the cedars of Lebanon sing. Since thou art laid down, no fellow is come down against us. No, come up against us. Yeah. Once Esau's been dealt with, then a peace will be visited. Because with his judgment, then we go into what? The kingdom of heaven. And that's when it will all be at peace, man. We'll all be at rest. And then even, the heathen know. They're gonna get jacked up. They're gonna get the recompense against him. But then what afterwards? Then order will be restored. Finish on this. Matthew 24 and 4, it says, and Yahushua answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. Yeah, so all these are the beginning of sorrows. It's the beginning of everything coming to its end, man. It's essentially the the start of prophecy being fulfilled, which is why what? It's all going to be on top. It's funny because these are things that people look at and think like, oh, it's apocalyptic, like it's all over. There's nothing left. But really within it is where hope resides. Because basically it's the place where there is no hope is in this current setting, man, in this current space. Like what, you're basically just on your way out with Esau, man, with his whole system. need salvation out of that, man. But yeah, all these nations are gonna be, you know, ready to come against, Jesus. Yeah, ready to come against Esau, man. But yeah, I'll leave it there. Shalom. Yeah, but Shalom.